As the world watches a flurry of geopolitical tensions unfold, three flashpoints in Washington, Beijing, and Yaoundé. All these are shaping global power dynamics in the real time. In Asia, Donald Trump's diplomatic tour and his high-stakes meeting with China's Xi Jinping have reignited debates over trade tariffs and military dominance, coinciding with the United States' sudden openness to resume nuclear testing, a decision that could upend decades of arms control agreement. Yet, while the United States and China flex economic and strategic muscles, Colonial French Cameroon is bleeding from within. In colonial French Cameroon, opposition leader Issa Tchiroma Bakari's declaration of a nationwide ghost town following post-election violence marks a new chapter in the country's political crisis. The unrest triggered by President Paul Biya's controversial eight-term victory, which the United Nations has refused to endorse, calling for an independent investigation into the vote and the violence that followed. Now we see that this yet again mirrors a broader global struggle between state control and popular resistance, between power and legitimacy. Now taking a turn in a move that sent political shockwaves across French Cameroon, Gabriel Libby, leader of the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation, issued a press statement during the week congratulating President Paul Biya on his electoral victory. His remarks, perceived by many as betrayal of opposition unity, sparked public outrage and renewed questions about the credibility of Cameroon's political system. Now, in stark contrast, a seasoned lawyer and former presidential candidate Akere Muna condemned the election as fraudulent, urging national dialogue as the only path to restoring legitimacy and public trust. Now, we see that this vast contrast in reactions underscores a broader dilemma within Cameroon's political landscape. Is the opposition fractured by self-interest or strategically dividing in pursuit of political survival? Now, from Washington's nuclear posture to Beijing's cautious diplomacy and Cameroon's street-level deviance, it's important to ask, what is rewriting the rules of power today? This and more we'll delve into. Welcome to Global News. I am Tabitha Arko. Let's begin. The political unrest in French Cameroon has entered a new phase as opposition leader Issa Tchiroma Bakary declared a nationwide ghost town, a move that mirrors the defiance long practiced in the Ambazonian regions. The declaration follows reports of kidnappings and arbitrary arrests, including the alleged abduction of Tchiroma's family members and personal theft in Garou, an act he blames on what he calls a colonial regime desperate to silence dissent. Now, in a strongly worded Facebook post earlier, Tchiroma accused the government of launching an open war against the French Cameroonian, vowing not to rest until the people's victory is restored. We see that the Ghost Town Declaration, which calls for a total shutdown of activities across cities, comes amid mounting public anger over President Paul Biya's controversial re-election for an eighth term, widely condemned as fraudulent. Analysts say the development could signal a shift in how French opposition confronts state repression, adopting a strategy once confined to Ambazonia. The ghost town has always been practiced every Monday in Ambazonia, but this time Issa Tchiroma is adopting it. What are his takes and why? Now let's take a listen.
Cameroonian, this climate of terror orchestrated to make us retreat. We will not give in. I therefore call on you from Monday, November 3, Wednesday, November 5, to observe ghost towns. Let the entire country come to a standstill so that the whole world knows that we are resisting, and that we will not yield.
For nearly a decade, Ambazonians have observed weekly Monday ghost towns as an act of civil resistance and a cry for self-determination. Their defiance, born out of years of marginalization, rejection, has become a symbol of their enduring struggle. Now, with the French-speaking Cameroun opposition turning to the same form of protest, observers are asking, is French Cameroun beginning to experience its own version of resistance? A French Cameroon opposition drawing the line? Could this signal a deeper fracture within the state, one no longer defined by linguistic lines but by shared frustration against power? Meanwhile, security forces have been deployed in major cities and bringing you reports, with this report of arbitrary detentions and street confrontations between protesters and police. Detentions highlight a growing crisis of legitimacy facing Biya's government, one that may no longer be contained by repression alone. Now, let's take a look. A lot has been happening within the week, and this is just an excerpt of what has been happening in French Cameroon. Let's take a listen.
Les gars, c'est bon.
While Ambazonians' ghost towns were rooted in the fight for independence, Tchiroma's call may represent something different, like we are seeing an altercation with police and the civilians, a collective outcry against it is, against political exclusion and accountable governance. As the protest spread, the question now hangs over Yaoundé and beyond. Is French Cameroon approaching a turning point where silence becomes the loudest cry for freedom? Over the years and over decades, Ambazonians have been charting the course, have been speaking against this dictatorial government. But it seems French Cameroon is awakening. And let's see how that plays out.